Ah, the quiet before the storm. Well, with some rocket fuel in our veins, let's get started on this segment of the global expedition truck build. Well, hey there, folks. Welcome to the Alex Build Stuff Show. It's the show where I build stuff and I show you. Today we have a special episode because I'm bringing in my trusty sidekick and beautiful wife, Megan Shaw.
Hello!
Okay, so today, as I have stated many times, we are going to be starting the interior teardown. This is a very big day because this marks the starting point of us gutting the interior and making this truck into a comfortable truck to drive in. And there's a lot of stages to this interior refit. It's going to be good. And Meg is here to join me because I need a hand doing this quickly.
He needs supervision to make sure that the cab is fit for a passenger princess such as me.
Yeah. So it's very important to appease your passenger princess. Very important. So first things first, we're going to pull everything out. And then after that, we're going to clean it up, and then we're going to start doing that sound deadening. That thing that everyone asked us if we were going to do when they heard how loud it was in Jerry. Let's get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have to do this one? Oh, wow, it just folds full.
Come on, Rusty Bolt!
I found our... whatever that is.
All right, you ready to pull it out?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go over to this side.
Okay. And we're coming your way, or we're going your way? Yeah.
This is not screwy.
One day. Normally what's underneath the floor?
Yep.
The white stuff?
Oh, nope.
What is that?
That is someone...
Already come in here and tried to repair?
Yep.
Oh, there's
Oh, wow.
no rust under there.
That's pretty good. Nice. Okay. Come out this way with it, I think.
Oh, God. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's so wet.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, my God. It's like a wet diaper.
Jerry's wet diaper is coming off.
That's disgusting.
Oh my God, where's the sink?
This side's good.
Oh, it could be worse.
Yeah?
Yeah. it
That's
could be
not too
worse.
bad?
There's so much change in this truck. It's crazy. I found another probably $1.50.
Ooh, this is disgusting.
Well, it could be a lot worse. I think this is probably still solid, but I don't know if I want to maybe reinforce that. And then the rest isn't too bad, actually. Like, It's not horrible in here.
Based on how wet that diaper was, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Soaked
Diaper. Ugh. Okay, so now that the cab floor has been freed of its water trapping insulation and matting, it's really time to start stripping it down. That means spending hours with a chisel scraping off rust and bubble paint before I can spray it all with rust inhibiting primer. I do what I can scraping off the worst of the rust while Meg hits the floor with a rust removal wheel on the drill. It's a long and slow process that really works up an appetite. Well, what do you figure?
I figured Jerry just lost 100 pounds.
Yeah, in insulation.
This stuff's soaking wet.
Mmm, yummy, delicious. I'm so happy that we got that out of the truck.
All right, so we got a comment on the last video saying that they were thinking about the burgers that I made back in the north in 2024 when we started the Pan American Highway. And that got me thinking. I'm trying to use up Chad's discard in all sorts of fun ways. And so I thought, why not make some burgers and just make some homemade sourdough burger buns while I'm at it. Last night I fed Chad the sourdough starter and he got all nice and bubbly overnight. And then this morning I started on the brioche bun dough. So it's just an enriched dough with the sourdough starter, and enriched means that there's sugar, eggs, and butter involved. And then I shaped the buns and I let those proof, and then we went out to work in the shop. And then when I came back, I mixed up the burger meat. And in the mixture, I just did like a standard burger meatball recipe. So 1 pound of ground beef with an egg, breadcrumbs, mustard, mayo, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. Mix that up real good and form it into patties. So once the burger meat was all prepped into patties, the buns were ready. So I took those out of the oven to cool down and fired up my panini press grill, which I'm actually using more so to grill meat. It's working out really great because we don't have a barbecue here. So popped the burgers onto the grill and prepped all my toppings. Today we're doing mustard, mayo, arugula, tomato, pickles for me, and red onions. This is gonna be fun to clean.
That's gonna be my job, isn't it?
This is gonna be a bit of a challenge to get the old mouth around. That's what she said.
Oh, those buns are so good. Alright, our stomachs are full, it's time to get back at it. Next up is to remove the dash from the cab, which turns out to be a far more challenging process than I had anticipated it to be. But before I can do that, gotta take Little Miss Roamer off the dash. By request, she'll be returned to her spot, albeit with something to cover up her nether regions.
Didn't have to free. There's
OBD2 or the OBD1. Like I said, far more challenging than I had anticipated. Oh, shoot! So I think that's just speaker wire.
what
Well, that was a battle. Well, we got her. It looks like we have some serious cleanup to do. Because that is a friggin' rat's nest of wire. Holy moly.
Returning to the shop the next morning, it was as if a bomb had gone off. Interior parts scattered everywhere, random bolts, clips, and plastic pieces strewn throughout the cab, and a rat's nest of wiring hanging down from the dash.
Well, I went to battle with the cooling unit yesterday and sent her a little too frickin' hard there, bud. I definitely came away from yesterday's activities pretty wrecked, so I'm going to try and be a little bit easier on myself today, which means that I'm just going to sit here and try and organize this rat's nest of wires. And then tomorrow we're going to start sanding down the interior and getting it ready for bed liner. Now I know that in the previous video, and that one hasn't gone live yet, so I imagine there's probably going to be a few comments about it. I said that I was going to do sound deadening and dampening mat first, and then bed liner over top of that. And I've since changed my tune. I'm definitely going to do bed liner first because after seeing all the rust in this cab, I realized I need to seal off all the steel. We'll get everything sanded down, rust out of here, and then we'll primer the interior and then bed line it, and then I will put sound deadening on top of that. Okay, well, enough talking. Let's get to friggin' organizing this monstrosity. So it probably doesn't look like there's much of an improvement, but I can assure you there is. It's far less busy under there. I've wrapped up a lot of these wires and kind of organized everything a little bit better. So now that I'm done with that, it's time to start addressing this hole here. So I'm going to build up a little wall that comes straight up so that I have a bit of a platform here, and I've purchased a twin stick shift boot that will go in there, but yeah, I just got to get the kind of like built up wall there first. So that's what I'm going to do next.
This might be my favorite kind of fabrication, making small things like this. I can use light steel, everything cuts and welds quickly, and if you're patient enough and attend to the little details, the end result can often be disproportionately impressive. This isn't likely to be a show-stopping little piece, but it sure is fun to build.
Let's see, this little piece turned up pretty well. I'm gonna make it, I was thinking welding it on, but I think I'm just gonna put holes in it and then put screws through so that I can actually remove it, because the shift boot that I've got, I don't actually know the size of the flange, so I put a flange on that and I might cut it down later. Well, now that I've built a little cover for this, it means I get to dive into the kind of shitty portion of this whole process, which is sanding down the interior of the cab in prep for bed liner. And that just means a lot of sanding. This is the kind of thing that you guys get to watch and enjoy, and I get to suffer through. All right, let's do this. Yay! Oh, that's not plugged in.
I've heard it often enough from automotive paint guys that most of the work is in the prep. You put the time and effort into that, and the rest of it will be easy and look great. Well, I'm trying to put the time and effort into the interior of this cab so that I don't have to open it up again. But golly, it's like willingly subjecting myself to my personal form of torture. I know the stage of the overall build is the least rewarding and aspects of it are certainly the most challenging, so if I can get through it, then the rest should be a breeze.
What you doing, Smooin'?
I am taping off the windows so that I can cover them, and then I'm going to spray primer in here. But this is hard to do because it's all on funny angles.
It's good core work for you.
Yeah, core work. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Core work.
Yeah.
And while he's taping, he's listening to a relationship podcast that I've sent him so that he can learn to be a better husband.
Are you learning to be a better wife?
I'm always learning to be a better wife. That's part of my quest in life. Is this what you meant?
Yeah.
By getting some shots? Listen to him grunt, everybody. That's one thing you can work on, actually, in your husband improvements.
Less grunting?
Yeah, less grunting.
There will never be less grunting. I am a man.
It's
and I
only
grunt.
getting worse. And I've delivered us these beautifully colored minty... Come on, focus, camera. Minty colored smoothies. They're pineapple protein smoothies.
They're delicious.
And then finally, the paint process begins. At least from here, it kind of feels like we're on the upswing.
Well, I have officially run out of primer, but we've got the first coat done on the inside. I might just put a second coat on the floor just so extra protection, but I think tomorrow I'm going to be starting on the bed liner, so yeah, time to go edit video. Well, hey there folks, if you guys are watching right now, you're enjoying what you're seeing, you want to see more, and maybe you want to help support us a little bit, the easiest and most free thing you can do is hit that subscribe button. We're trying to reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the summer, and we need your help to do that. So if you can hit that subscribe button, maybe leave a comment, or share this video around, that would be fantastic. That's all we're asking. That's all I've got to say about that. Let's get on with this build. So this is Herculiner. This is what I'm going to be using to coat the inside of the truck. We are not sponsored by them. This is not an ad for Herculiner. I'm just stating the fact that this is what I'm using instead of Raptor Liner. I was looking at Raptor Liner, and for the amount that I needed to do the interior, it was going to be really, really expensive. And this stuff is notably cheaper, and just because it's going to be covered up, we're going with the cheaper stuff. So we're going to see how it does, and maybe I can throw some information out to y'all that are looking to do bedliner projects about whether or not I like this stuff. I'm sure it's going to be totally fine. It's a 2-part epoxy something or other coating. It's going to be rad, but I'm very interested to see how it does sound deadening or sound deadening. I get that one mixed up, but I'm excited to see how it affects the noise inside the cab. Also, I just saw this. It's a JB Weld product, so you know it's going to be pretty damn good. Well, would you look at this cab. I got a second coat down on the floor last night before I went to sleep, so it's all dry and ready to be painted. Nice. Okay, this is for scientific purposes only. bring out the drummer in me. That's what it sounds like with nothing on the floor. We're gonna get painting this, and then we're gonna do it again once it dries and see how it sounds. All right, let's get the compressor. Woo!
First, the bottle says to shake well before adding hardener, which means... Once you've thoroughly shaken the paint, then add the hardener, and wait a very long time for it to come out. And then we shake again.
Cuando yo empecé a tocar mi acordeón, no tenía nadie que me enseñara. Compraba yo mis discos en la segunda, escuchaba a los maestros por si me guiaban. Son los compositores que yo quiero tanto, los que abrieron las puertas para cantar mi llanto.
And now we spray.
Que sepan que su ejemplo se quedó en el mundo.
Alright, so I had to put the camera away for a little bit just because the spray off of the stuff that I was spraying was getting everywhere. My whole face was like covered in stuff. I've sprayed out the entire kit of Herculiner, and I think it's actually turned out really, really good. It actually kind of kills me that I'm going to put more sound deadening over top because it turned out so clean. I know it's very, very dark, but yeah, it turned out so good. So dang good. Ooh, it's still wet. Not going to be able to touch that for a while. This right here is 72 square feet of 80 mil sound deadening rattle trap. As well, this is 20 feet of loaded foam matting or something like that. This is going to be going on the firewall. And yeah, the floor is about to get that much quieter. Let's do it. But before we get going, we have to do a tap test to see if this has actually sound deadened the floor at all. I give it a solid maybe.
As far as processes go, the process of applying sound deadening to the floor is actually a fairly enjoyable and rewarding one. I should make note that I did leave the cab with the doors open for a couple days so the bed liner could off-gas and cure, so at this point, it no longer smells in the cab at the very least. The sound deadening adhered really well to the floor, and within about half a day, I had a whole box applied to the interior.
Well, there's the first 35 square feet. There's a few patches missing, obviously, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, get the rest of the stuff that I haven't got, obviously, with the other 35 square feet that I have, and then I'm going to double up on the firewall and on the floor pans here, and over the transmission tunnel, and then I'll call it good. And then this back wall, I am going to paint black again, just because I want it uniform, because this is going to be exposed. And then everything else is going to get a matting over top of it. So I still have a lot of kind of like seams and stuff left over that I have to do. So I'm going to put this like foil tape. It's got a butyl backing. Nate from Dirt Lifestyle actually turned me on to this stuff on one of his videos. So if you're watching this, Nate, thanks for the tip. And yeah, I'm gonna seal it all up. And then I think I'm just gonna show you guys the final result because it's just a repeat of everything. So okay, so I've just spent the morning putting the second layer of rattle trap or sound deadening on the floor, and I just wanted to show you guys the difference. It's almost like I'm hitting like a 3/16 steel floor. Like there's a little bit of reverberation there, just a tiny bit, but in the places that it's going to be the loudest, so the floor and the firewall, there is 2 layers. And now I'm going to get into putting the foam on the firewall. So much success. As well, I'd just like to show off our new and improved shift boot. This is off of a Freightliner and should go a long ways in quieting down the interior. And I'm still waiting on my twin stick shift boot. That'll be here after the weekend. All right, that is that. The whole firewall is now sound dampened. We've got multiple layers of sound deadening on the floor. I more or less dampened the whole transmission tunnel. And yeah, I think this is gonna go a long ways in making the interior of this cab a lot quieter. I've got a little bit more of my dampening left, so I'm gonna put that in the doors and probably on the underside of the hood at some point. So this pretty much puts us at the point at which we start to reassemble the whole interior. I think I'm going to have like a little bit of a battle getting the new AC unit into place, but once that's done, then just slap on the new dashboard and start assembling that, and then we'll put in seats, and yeah, I think it's going to go back together pretty quick from this point, which I'm very excited about. Alrighty, so I'm back in the shop. It has been a weekend. We got out for a few nights of camping with our friends Wes and Jen, which was fantastic. It was really good to get away and get into nature again, do a little bit of camping, and you'll see that in the next video. I did get back to the shop yesterday actually and totally went to battle with the truck. I've got the HVAC unit back into the cab, which was really challenging. I had to cut new holes for the AC, but I've got that done. And while I was in there, I also changed out the cab mounts. They were something like 30 some odd years old and totally rotted out, so it's really good to get new cab mounts in there. I used the energy suspension ones. As well, Meg helped me put the mat back in, so the cab is starting to actually shape up pretty nicely. Today, I'm going to be putting the dash back in, and when I got back to Canada, I started hunting for interior parts like crazy, and I've got most of the plastics that go into the truck. Like I said, I've got a brand new dash. It's been spray painted and looks really, really nice. As well, I've got all of the other trim pieces and they've all been spray painted and updated and all that stuff. So yeah, we're ready to go. I'm gonna start prepping to put the dash in the truck, and then by the end of this video, I'm going to introduce one of the collaborators or sponsors of this video. It's a little bit late in the video, yes I know, but we're really excited about it. So stay tuned for that. Let's get reinstalling.
In a recent trip to the local wrecker, I snagged not only some important trim pieces, I also selected a full set of the best looking door seals I could find. Once I had installed door gaskets, I got to work putting in all the plastics and promptly learned that this generation of Chevy plastics installs in a very specific cascading order, and if you don't install a certain piece in the proper order, it causes issues all the way down. How many times did this happen to me, you might ask? Let's just say Jerry rage baited me for about 2 days straight. But at least I made it to the point at which the outer dash goes back together with a series of satisfying clicks like a Connect set on steroids. At least there was that, because let me tell you, I was close to throwing in the towels at least a few times. no one really talks about the physical toll work like this has on your body. I've done a lot of vehicle builds in my life, so I'm familiar with being sore after a day of building. But as I approach my 40s, the stiffness that results at the end of a day like this is a whole new thing for me. Every single night of this whole interior refit stage of the build, I have gone to bed absolutely exhausted.
Alright, well, there you go. I think that the interior has turned out pretty fantastic. It looks really, really sharp. I cannot tell you how poorly the video does the job of showing how much effort it was to get to this point. It was colossal, and I am totally exhausted. I spent 2 days cussing and swearing at the interior in this truck, trying to get it back together. It was a lot of work. But I'm happy it's done. I'm going to end the video here because there's still so many small details that I have to take care of before we can really get this thing back on the road and driving. But before I take off, we've got a sponsor to announce, one I'm really excited about. I've been hinting at it throughout the video, and it's new seats. So let's go get them. This is a really heavy box. Really heavy box. Oh my god. All right. The logo's upside down. Slow Roamers are now sponsored by Corbeau Seats. How cool is that? Alright, so if you guys have been following along with us for a long period of time, you'll know that we just completed a 41,000 plus kilometer trip down through the Americas, and we did the whole thing sitting in factory seats. That's a lot of seat time on factory seats. Now, we came out pretty unscathed from it, I have to say, but I definitely do have some remaining back problems from sitting in those seats for so long. So we knew that driving around the world, we'd have to be sitting on something far more comfortable and ergonomically designed. That's where Corbeau seats come in. These guys have built-in lumbar support. They are far more ergonomic and super comfy. We went with the Corbeau Sport seat just to kind of match the interior look a little bit more. We got them in a kind of like tannish brown color. And I'm gonna assemble them and then stick them in the truck. And yeah, let's do it. So the right thing about Corbeau is that they actually make factory seat brackets. So I don't even have to think about fabbing up seat brackets to put these seats into the truck. So that makes things a heck of a lot easier. Now, it's good to note that Corbeau sells these seats in pairs. So when you're looking at the price on their website, you're actually looking at 2 seats. The seat brackets are an additional cost, but being able to just throw these into your vehicle without really having to think about fabbing up seat brackets is really, really nice. I was kind of dreading having to do that, so this is sweet. Let's get installing them.
The installation process of the seats was pretty straightforward. Due to having a bench seat in the truck before, there was some drilling required, but the brackets were obviously designed to sit right where there would have been bolt holes were it a truck with factory installed bucket seats. I'll make note that the brackets are side specific and orientation specific.
Okay.
Very nice, eh?
We're so much closer to each other than we were in Betty.
We are. Well, folks, that is it for this episode. Thank you for being here. We have dumped a ton of time and effort into this cab over the last week and a half, and it has really become something that is comfortable and really nice to drive around in. I am so stoked to hit the road with this thing eventually, but we are a long ways from finishing this cab. The next episode is going to be dedicated to a lot of the details work where I install switches, accessories, sort out the shifter boot, door cards, a lot of other stuff that has yet to be done. And once that is all completed, then we should be driving around in Jerry once again. Thanks a lot for sticking around to the end of this one. I really appreciate it, and I know all of you guys are super stoked to see this thing finished, and I am working as hard and as fast as I can to get this truck on the road and looking all pretty, and your patience is greatly appreciated. Alright, that is it. We'll catch you in the next one. Later.